Good morning. This is Ron Brown. It's November 1st, 2024. It's about, it is 9:52 a.m. Central Time on Friday. And in this video, I'm going to build upon what I did last week, talking about contextual smart group scans or charts in conjunction with the most active stock screens. And I've been putting quite a bit of time into this because I think it really gives us some good insight where a stock or ETF is relative to the moving averages and the trends and so on. So this is a continuation of last week. I'm going to use the high resolution. Again, remember when you're viewing in YouTube to go down to the lower right corner and select the highest definition of the video playback, and everything will be sharp even though I'm doing this in 4K. Also, if you're an Insider Club member, I want you to delete my charts and scans, or the warehouse views I should say, before you install the add-on. You don't necessarily have to do this every week, but I'm always making changes. I'm tweaking things and so on. So if you want the same thing that I have, I suggest you delete my charts and warehouse views and anything with my name on it, and then install the add-on. Okay, let's go to the standard risk disclaimer. Any stock, index, or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you want to try the software, go to highgrowthstock.com and you'll get a 30-day trial without entering a credit card. So here's my setup this week. I have my warehouse view on top, and this is a weekly chart over here. This is a daily chart with the different contextual parameters in here. Here's a micro trend, a short-term trend, and a intermediate term trend. And I'll explain that as I go along. Now down here at the bottom, I have the volume point of control, also a 10-day force index, which coincides or matches up with the 10-day volume point of control, and then the volume is up here, of course. These are the moving averages, which are synchronized with these histograms down here, and I'll explain that as I go along. And then up here we have the industry line, which is the blue line, and the green line is the performance of the individual stock compared to the industry group. So if the green line is going up, that means the stock is outperforming the industry. And we have, this is Dell Technologies here. You can see that the group has not been doing well, but Dell, even though it's relatively flat here, is outperforming its industry group. And then over here, I just have a white chart today with the intraday data in it. Now I've been using my Wyckoff charts in here if I want to see which bars are generated or have been generated on the Wyckoff VFB charts. I just go down to folder number 9, click on number 1, and then I can see the bullish charts that generated signals by looking at this chart. But for today, most of the time, I'm just going to be in my number 1B chart, which shows the intraday statistics. Next, I'm going to point out where you can locate these. I'm going into my designer, and for Insider Club members, if you go scroll down, you'll find contextual charts, contextual trends down and up, and then underneath those primary folders there are the secondary folders, and I'll be going through these today. to show you how you can apply this to find stocks that are in different stages of trend development. I'm going to minimize this for now, and I'm going to go up to intraday. I'm using a manual update right now, so it doesn't, the automatic updates don't slow the program down while I'm recording. That uses up a lot of resources when I'm recording and also updating automatically. Doesn't take long to do an update intraday. Takes about 30 seconds, and then as these charts are updated, it takes a little bit longer there. Now, as soon as this is finished, taking a little longer than normal. I think it's because I'm recording. Okay, finally. Now what I'm going to do is bring that designer back up, and I'm going to go into my industries, select that, go under the tools menu, and rebuild indexes and groups. What this is doing is taking that freshly updated stock data and building my industry groups with that information, and that becomes important over here when we look to see what the groups are doing and the relative strength compared to the groups. Now, right now, I'll minimize this for now. Right now, if I do most active up securities, all securities intraday, it is locating stocks that are very active, and you can see there's a bunch of them today because it's a strong day in the broader markets after a really poor day yesterday. So there's 944. That's an awful lot of stocks. So what I'm going to do is narrow this down. I'm going to go to most active up large cap stocks intraday, and there are 261 of these. Now, these different capitalizations are updated every day when the SmartGroups are updated. So it locates stocks that meet the criteria for micro, small, large cap, and so on, the different categories, and it automatically does that during the update process. But I'm going to use large cap stocks right now because these are all familiar names to us. So you can see that Dell Technologies is leading the way. It's already up. I don't know why I clicked on that again, but here it is. Looking over here, you can see that the intraday volume compared to the 20, the 50, and the 90 is it's 200% here. And compared to all of these normal volumes, it's extremely high, and that's represented down here in the volume bar. Now, looking at Dell, I can see that the microtrend, the 3 and the 6, is positive, or in other words, the 3 is above the 6. The 6 and 18 are positive, and the 18 versus 50 are positive. It looks like the moving averages are stacked, but they certainly aren't spreading apart much, so it's kind of in a congestion area. Now, I can look at this in each individual stock, or I can, if I want to locate stocks that are in an uptrend, I can concentrate on those by bringing my designer back up. And I'm going to go down here to contextual trends up, and I only want stocks who have the intermediate term trend up. In other words, all three of these windows are positive, plus the fan is in place. The EMAs are stacked in the correct sequence. So I'm going to click through to this. And you can see there are 519 securities in here. I'm going to apply the filter by clicking on here, and this will locate, cuts it all the way down to 38 securities that pass my most active filter. And you can see that Dell is on top. As I just pointed out, these moving averages are stacked properly, but when it really becomes strong, you can see that the moving averages will become stacked like this if the uptrend continues. But it's basing right here, and they are stacked. So that's why Dell is coming up here. Now let's go through some of these. Take a look at Toast to the next one. Now this is a much better example of a stock that is really trending. So I'm in intermediate trend, fan up. These you're going to find the strongest stocks in here because everything's positive. The 200, the 100, the 50, and the 18 are all stacked properly. And if the 3 is above the 6, as it is here, because it is in this category right here, intermediate trend fan up, which I'm looking at right here. You know, these are very strong stocks. Let's run through some of these. Here's United Airlines. Strong on the daily, and let's put this down, very strong on the weekly, and it has been for quite some time now. I'm going to make this full screen, and I'm going to bring an arrow up, and I want to point out that with United Airlines, the 3 and the 6 went positive here, and then it had a little pullback. Then it went positive here. The 6 and the 18 went positive here. And the 18 versus the 50 went positive right here. If I go straight up from here, you can see the fan was not in place. But the fan up happened right here. This is a 200. This is a 100. This is a 50. And this is the 18. At that point, this became a really strong trending stock. But the buy point for early entry would be back here when these started, especially when the 3 went above the 6 and then confirmed by the 6 and the 18. And then finally, right here is where this really was trending. And notice that there was an effort to rise right here. Crossover, like I said, happened back here, and then there were several VPA flags on the way up. Now looking up here, you can see that the industry group, the green line, is showing us that the airlines have been going, the green line is the outperformance. This stock has been, UAL has been outperforming its group. Back here they were moving together, and then the group flattened out, but the green line continued to go up. So this is a very example of a very strong stock. And it's in the intermediate term trend fan up. So if you're looking for strongly trending stocks, this is a good place to find them. And then in conjunction with the most active up or down, you can locate stocks that are potential trades. Now let's just flip down to 2A. These are large cap stocks that are down today, but the fan is still in place. So on these, I'll just bring one up. You can see the fan's in place still as of last night, but it's down today. So this information was from last night in these columns right here, but there's a big gap down. With this scan, most active down, large cap, maybe you can find stocks that are starting good short candidates. They've had they've had a fan up, but they're going down now, or look for potential bounces too. Let's look at Omega Health. Look at this. Here's several negative VPA flags here. Here's a confirmation today. The earnings are due. The earnings are out because if you look up here, right here, you can see the next earnings date is February 5th. So that means earnings are out. They probably came out yesterday, and there is movement down. Now, the earnings will be filled in here next week. They don't update the earnings on bar chart every day. I believe they go in on Tuesday. But when the earnings are out, like back here, that was a dividend. But there will be an E for earnings once that information goes into the database. Okay, I'm going to go back up to most active up, large cap. These are intermediate term trend fan up. Like I said, these are the stocks that are really strong because there's a fan in place. The moving averages are stacked properly. You just look down at this chart here, and if the histograms are all above the zero line and the fan is in place, it tells you there's a lot of strength in these stocks. Now, I'm going to just move down a level. These are intermediate trend up. Now, these are stocks that don't have the fan up, but yet their intermediate trend is up, or this area right here will be positive. So I'll just bring one up. Snap is coming up. Now see, the fan is not in place because the 200 is up here. The 100's here. The 18's down here and the 50's down here also. But the 3 and the 6 are positive, and the 6 and the 18 are positive, and the 18 and the 50 are positive, but the fan is not in place. But this one's building some momentum to the upside. So these are the most active up large cap stocks intraday. I'll just stay on large caps and let's go to the short-term trend. Now the short-term trend means, I'll bring one up, means that these two histograms are going to be positive and this one is still negative. Now you can see that obviously there is no fan in place. This is one of those stocks that's just chopping around. The group is flat, and when it was moving up here, it was outperforming its group, but now it's also flat. Now moving down to the micro trend, only the 3 and the 6 are going to be positive in the chart. And I'll make this full screen. You can see that it's barely positive. You can see little green bars there, and the stock is basing. Here's a low volume test, but it's got an awful lot of work to do. This is Moderna. This has gone from around 168 down to around 55, it looks like. And here is the earnings. Here the earnings came out minus $1.91 came out on this date. So the only positive thing about this chart right now is it looks like it's basing. We're getting a low volume test, and the 3 has gone above the 6, but there's a tremendous amount of overhead resistance because the fan is down. And look down here, the force index has been negative throughout most of this. There was a slight blip up when it turned positive, but just a lot of work to do. And look at how far this intermediate term histogram, how negative it is, how deep the bars are, because it just shows how far apart the 18 and the 50 are in the downtrend. This is the 50, and here's the 18 as they become wider, further apart. Do it up here. I'll just go down like this. You can see it began, but as they spread apart, this histogram, the bars become longer. Okay, let's move on. So those are the that's a micro trend up. It's just beginning. Now I'm going to go to the contextual trends down. Now this is where I covered this a little bit in the last video, but you can find stocks here that have gone down, and in conjunction with the most active up. I'll keep it on the large cap stocks for now, see what comes up. I'm going to start with the micro trend down, and what are there, 17 of them? I'll transfer them to the most active up for the day, but I'm in the micro trend down. Point that out to you. In the micro trend down, but I'm still in the most active trend up. And look at these prices here. Look at the days down since the 3 went down through the 6. Most of them are pretty recent, and these are stocks that could be bouncing, and it's just a micro trend down. So, well, I'll show you. Let me bring this up rather than just talking about it. Here's NVIDIA. We all know NVIDIA. So right here, you can see that the micro trend is down, but the intermediate term, or the short-term trend, is still up, as is the intermediate term trend. It crossed over, well, it crossed over right here. So this is a place, as I pointed out in the last video, where you can look for strong stocks that have pulled back a little bit. Let's try another stock. How about Palo Alto Networks? Okay, you can see the fan is in place. I'll make this full screen. You can see the fan is in place. 200, 150, and the 18 is up here. But the 3 has crossed below the 6 right here. But what do we have here? Strength seen returning, and a low volume test today. Expensive stock, no doubt about it, but it could be played with credit or debit spreads if you want to take a position. Now here are the earnings I was talking about. You can see the E and the amount. And if I open up the fundamentals, you can see that this 85 cents is equal to this 85 cents down here. And this 89 cents is equal to this up here, and so on. So you can see earnings across the board and how the stock was affected by earnings. Now we're into November, and if you look up here where the cursor is, you'll see that the earnings due date is 11/20. So there's earnings coming up again, but not for several days. But I'm just pointing out here that this is a micro trend down. These are stocks that have the fan up, or I should say the 18 is above the 50 and the 6 is above the 18, but the short-term trend is down. all of these do have the fan up. I know that because I look over here at this column on the right. It says the fan is up on all of these. Okay, let's move on to the next group. So that's micro trend down, short-term trend down. Whoops, I didn't want the ranking module. Sorry about that. I just want to go to the short-term trend down. And there's a lot of familiar names here. So what does this mean? It means the 3 and the 6 are negative, and also the 6 is below the 18. So let's take a look at Chipotle. But they're up today. Remember, I'm most active up. So the 3, you can see the 3 is below the 6. And the 6 is below the 18, but the 50 or the 18 is still above the 50. So it sold off probably while the earnings were back here. It sold off and money is flowing back into it today. I'm showing you the short-term different groups here that are created automatically every day with the most active, because this is an opportunity on a day like this, or any day for that matter, where you could possibly find some trades that would work out for you that have pulled back. Let's look at Abbott Labs. It's up 5% today. Looking down here, these are the numbers as of last night. The 3 had been below the 6 for 8 days, 0 being the crossover day. But look at it today. The 3 is above the 6 today. These are the multiple days where 3 was below the 6. So there's news on this. Earnings were back here, so I don't think it's earnings news. But anyway, it is moving up sharply. It gapped open clear up here, traded down to here, and now buyers are coming back into it. Both of these were negative. This is a short-term downtrend as of last night. And you can see that the 6 and the 18 have also turned positive. And the 18 versus the 50 never did go negative, and the fan was in place also. But now the 3 is crossing the 6 today, and the 6 is crossing the 18. The green line going up shows you that the stock is outperforming its group. Okay, let's move on to the intermediate trend down. And there's 45 stocks that are up today with the intermediate term trend down. Now, if you look over here at this column, the fan up says no, so none of these stocks have a fan up. Let's look at McKesson. Okay, get my arrow. Well, I'll make it full screen here. So what do we have? This is the intermediate term trend down as of last night. That means these two were down and this one is down also. All 3 of them were down, but look what's happening today. The 3 crossed the 6 and the 6 crossed the 18. Big move up here. It looks like the group is moving up today, and this stock is outperforming the group. See how this is moving up? So it looks like all of the stocks in this group are up today, and we looked at Moderna in the same group, and it was showing signs of accumulation, but this stock has moved up much better now. Let's look at a few of these VPA flags here. Here's stopping volume. That was the low. Shot up, the 3 crossed the 6, came back down, then low volume test, no supply, no supply, low volume test, no supply, no supply, no supply. It's been drifting down, but today it's moving up. It's in the intermediate term trend down as of last night, but by using the most active up, we know that these stocks are moving up. Now I've got one more group to show you in this video, and I'll be building on this in upcoming videos. Now, intermediate term trend down with the fan down. These are weak stocks that are moving up today. So let's transfer them to the warehouse. And Boeing, what's going on with Boeing? Maybe they settled the strike. I don't know, but looking at the chart, you can see that all three of these are negative, and the fan is clearly down. So here's stopping volume here. It's basing. I doubt if the strike is settled yet, but anyway, there are some buyers, and there have been from this point right in here, because they think Boeing has potential upside. So we're seeing these with the intermediate term trend down and the fan down, but most active up. Now let's take a look at Intel. It reported last night. The stock has gone nowhere for a long time, but I'm looking at it today. Let's zoom in on it, and you can see that it's up. All of these were down, and the fan is obviously down too. These are all slightly below their center line, because look how this has been basing for months now, or weeks anyway. But it meets the criteria of the intermediate trend down and fan down. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to end this video. Let's take a look at a very familiar Adobe Systems. I'll do an alternate one to move in on this. You can see that it's up, but it meets all the criteria because the intermediate term trend is down, the short term trend's down, and the micro trend's down, but it's one of the most active stocks today. Look at the volume compared to the 90-day, and it's showing low volume test. But the fan is down 200, 100, 50, and 18. So this stock was what, about around 580, 585, and we're currently looking at 560.88, it looks like. Okay, so these are how I am continuing to experiment with these contextual trends down and up, because I can tell immediately just by going to the right folder, correct folder, the type of stocks I'm prospecting for. So on the intermediate term trend fan up, and I remember I'm in most active large cap stocks, I can go to any category. Let's go to most active small cap stocks intraday, and I need to go. This is what I wanted. I want the one I'm looking for. Strong stocks that are up today, and look at superconductor. Fan is in place. The 3 is above the 6, and it's moving up today. One more stock. I'll just grab something here. Let's max. IMAX, the fan is up. It's been going up for several days. Look at this pocket pivot volume. The 3 is above the 6. 6 is above the 18. And the 18 is above the 50. Okay, that's it for this weekly video. I hope you find these useful if you're an Insider Club member, because it really kind of puts things in perspective. Thanks for listening, and have a good week.